are now listening to the Gabba Hunt Talks podcast, where we bring you conversations with people connected to the Carolinas underground music scene. With your host, Mike Phillips of Van Huskins. Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Can't hear you, I don't think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I know what the problem is. Talk now.
Hey.
There we go. It was my fault.
Okay.
It was actually a knob on my little recording deal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm monitoring through.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought it could have been on my end. Because I don't record my audio through, or what you're hearing me through the webcam.
Yeah.
And when it first went, when it looked like you couldn't hear me, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't test it out to make sure it looked like it was working on my end.
It was, man, there's a knob on these things, and it's like a blend knob between input and playback.
Yeah.
And when I use it for something like this, instead of it being like the playback from a recording, like the tracks you've already laid down, it's the audio from the other person.
Yeah.
Which is really useful because I can make my audio and yours suitable for me, the volume levels. But I had it all the way on the side of me because earlier I was just sitting here listening to what all this microphone would pick up because it's kind of sensitive.
Yeah, it's like this one right here. I turned my ceiling fans. One of them I had to turn off, and the other one I turned all the way down. I got to have some circulation in here, but it just picks up everything. And I can clean some of it up with noise reduction, but the less I have to do that, the better my audio is.
Yeah. So
I can do that on both tracks, and I usually do it once regardless. But if I have to do any more than that, like when I did on that flight risk episode, I had to run it so many times trying to get that cricket noise down because the way I had the microphone set up, and this is what I was talking about, how I kind of want to talk a little bit about how I do the podcast on here. And I'm going to go ahead and use some of this. I won't do the introduction yet, as usual. But so the way I had the microphone set up, we did that one around a campfire. And I just set the microphones up. They were sitting on the ground, just pointing in that direction. Those little stands I've got there, they're tiny. And just they were pointed in general direction, and each one pointed at two people and one pointed at me. So, and of course, different people talked at different volumes. And so like Jason was pretty easy to pick up. He was loud. Joey is a little quieter. Travis was really quiet because he hadn't been drinking. He was sober that night. And Brian's got one of those deep voices that the microphone just struggles to pick up sometimes, especially at a distance. So I had to crank him way up, and me too sometimes. And whenever I'd have to crank that up, of course, the cricket noise went up. And so by the time I got to the end of it, I kind of figured out a really cool way to do it that actually worked really well and didn't degrade my audio too much. But and I can't remember. I think it was on the Jeff Clayton episode. I fucked with mine so much that my audio didn't sound that great. I can't remember if that was the one or not.
Oh yeah.
But it was one. It's a learning process, and so I figured out better ways to deal with it. But I've still learned that maybe I need to invest in some big stands, some tall stands to take with me to things like that, so I can at least get them closer to everybody.
Yeah, that's what I got, a boom stand right now. I don't know if you can see it at all, but the microphone's just like right here.
Yeah, that's like mine. I've got this boom stand that I attach to my desk, and I can move it in and out and stuff. But I set it up like this and then crank it up to where it picks me up, so I don't have to be right up on it.
Yeah, I'm really sibilant, so I got two popper stoppers. One that's actually made out of like thick t-shirt material. I just took the hoop and covered it in that over the old foam. Then I've got like a pencil that's rubber banded to the front of the microphone.
Yeah.
It just covers up the center of the capsule a little bit. It helps deal with that too.
Okay, yeah.
But I make a lot of S sibilants and stuff. Just T sounds is like,
yeah.
So I'm especially with singing, so I have to do a lot to guard against that. Otherwise, I'm trying to use a de-esser and always overdoing it and ruining the overall sound of the vocals.
Yeah.
It kind of dulls them.
Yeah. But, speaking to that, though, it's probably going to be a while before I do another one in person anyway. So the next one I do in person will probably be outdoors, so I'll have to think about that a little bit. But the one we were doing right now, and I'm talking to John Bowman of War Boys and a lot of other bands, but War Boys and currently working on some solo stuff. But we were supposed to do this one in person today. Despite COVID, I've been every now and then doing one in person, either somewhere else or here at my house. And just being careful about it. And anytime there's been a potential scare, we've rescheduled them. So I've had another one at work again this time. And so we decided to move this one to Skype. And I'm still dealing with just a little bit of a headache, and it sucks. Because other than that, I feel fine. Except for a couple of little things. But I think it's all in my head. The headache, though, worries me. Because I do, and I used to get headaches real bad. I used to get migraines all the time. Now I rarely get them. But every now and then I do. And usually if I get a headache, it's because I drank too much the night before or something. And I didn't really drink that much last night. So I'm not attributing it to that. And it's just kind of got me a little bit worried because that is one of those symptoms, one of those early symptoms. But I can still smell. I can still taste. I feel fine. Again, like I said, every now and then I feel like I'm maybe a little bit hot or maybe a little bit chilly. And I'm like, man, that's just in your head. That's because of the way the temperature it is in the house right now.
Man, it really could. Everything down to the headache could be just the stress of knowing you were exposed. You know, that's when I thought I'd been exposed. I had a headache too. I think I was just worrying about it and stressing. You know, especially because I was frustrated. It's like your case. It wasn't no fault of my own. You know, somebody else being reckless endangered me. You know, so I was freaking out. You know, I worked this hard to keep myself safe this long, and somebody else that I don't even know has caused a problem, you know, by not being honest and not being careful. Yeah, it stressed me out. I found myself with a headache and stuff too, and I got lucky I didn't have it, you know. But.
Yeah, and I guess it's because, you know, the other two times that this has happened, both at work, I hardly worked around the people. You know, maybe an hour, maybe I did share a shift, but you know, we did two different jobs, so I was hardly around them. But this time it was like, not only did I work with the dude on Monday night, but like I said, his girlfriend and his girlfriend's cousin both live in the same house. And at least one or both of them has worked every day this week. And I got thinking about it this morning too. He worked again on Wednesday after he had tested but hadn't got his results back. So I'm like, I guess it's just the fact that I was potentially exposed every day this week. Now they haven't, the girlfriend actually tested the same day he did and tested negative. But my manager told her last night, don't come to work, go get another test. Because, I mean, they live together.
And they say if you take a test too early, it might not have built up in your system enough to show. And also, supposedly them rapid tests sacrifice some accuracy as well. Like, if it's one of the rapid tests, it's going to, you know, you could get a false negative.
Well, I know both times I've gotten mine, and I've got one scheduled for tomorrow, I went to CVS. Go through the drive-thru, you do it all yourself. They tell you how to do it, which I like that. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but you don't have to stick it like way back in there. But it's taken like 2 to 3 days, or about 3 days to get my results. And he got his on Monday, but didn't get his results till yesterday. But I've heard like people that go to the health department, it usually takes longer. But yeah, I don't know. There are some of those rapid test sites around where you can get the results that day. I kind of wanted to try to find one of those for this time, but I decided I'd rather just go ahead and do what I've done before.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you get one of the slower ones. Man, that means more time you got to stay by yourself and not know, but it sucked to get an inaccurate result and then go about your business and then it get back, you know, cause a lot of problems.
And it's like messed everything up because like we hadn't had to have band practice in a couple of weeks. We won't get to have it this week. Maybe. I mean, if I get my result by Wednesday and we're off Thursday, I might get to do band practice. But, you know, fingers crossed. But the past 2 weekends, I'm like, even today, I was supposed to be helping my parents bring Christmas decorations down out of the attic. That's been put on hold again. So, you know, it's just not worth the risk. I mean, my mom really wants to decorate for Christmas, but it's not worth the risk for me to potentially expose them just to get those decorations down out of the attic.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are coming to terms with the fact they're not going to be doing much for a little while. Like, man, I've been trying to go to Statesville and work with Brian on new songs and stuff like that, but, you know, out of a bunch of weeks, it was only safe to go once. Mm-hmm. And every other time it seemed like there's been some scare or something, you know, somebody near one of us or, you know, with one of us or something. And I think we've kind of just almost been like, well, we'll just wait a little while till this stuff dies down. It's bad right now. Let's just not worry about getting together. Even if neither of us have a potential contact or, scare or anything. Like, and that's fine with me. I can be patient. I'd rather be patient and be safe than be in a rush to do stuff and then get infected or something.
Yeah.
Or give it to somebody. That's my worst fear, is giving it to somebody. That's worse than me getting sick. I don't want to give it to anybody,
Yeah, me too. That's been my whole thing this whole time is, I don't want to get sick myself. And I hope, I've always had pretty strong immune system. And I know we don't have an immunity to this. But, certain people can fight it off better than others. I mean, it's just the way it is. So I'm hoping that even if I do get it, whether it's now or whether it's later, that my body takes care of it. But if I gave it to my parents, my dad said earlier, now we've been potentially exposed again. I was like, yeah, but there's only been a couple of days this week that I wasn't around them, that I was even around them, because we had already been taking precautions because of last week. Once I got my result for that, which was just the other day, I still haven't been around them much because I've been real conscious of it this whole time. Like, I haven't hugged my parents in I don't know how long. It's just we don't get that close to each other because I know every day at work I'm potentially exposed.
Yeah.
But they've still got to worry about it a little bit more now because, of course, I'm worried about it more now because of the situation. This time is different than the past couple of times.
Dude, I have to be honest. I hate we're even having to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to ignore right now. It's really like at the worst stage of it.
I do too, but at the same time, for posterity's sake, I like having it on the podcast, and it's one of those things that. What have you been doing lately? You can't talk about the shows you've been going to or anything like that. You've not been doing anything. What we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about COVID. That's all everybody's been doing. It's either that or what you want to talk about the election.
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, that's what I was saying. It's like it's so unpleasant, but it's so unavoidable.
Yeah, fuck 2020, man.
Man, I've been saying it's my fault because right around New Year's, I was like, 2019 sucked, and I was thinking what sucked about it for me. It was a sucky year. I didn't get to do a lot with my band because of Jordan's health declining and some other stuff, and I was pissed about it, and all that. And a lot of other things were tough, and I was like, 2020 is going to be better. No, they couldn't get no, like 2019 sucked. Well, I'm looking forward to 2020, and I was all optimistic, and then look what happened.
I think everybody's kind of in that boat, though. I think everybody thought, 2020 is going to be great. I thought 2020 was going to be a great year. I started this, and I was like, this is going to be great. And especially, like, I've talked about this before, the zine, I was, like, super excited about that part of it. And then this happened, and now I just cannot get this next one finished. But that's happening soon. And I think I'm going to do it a little differently this time. But I won't really talk much about that right now. Let's talk about, though, because I said what we got to talk about is COVID and the election. But you've been putting out some new music lately. And it's not War Boy stuff. It's Prehistoric Jon stuff.